Hey everyone, back again. We have episode 5 here of Friday Flows, and I am joined by our original SE who kicked off the series with us, Aaron Sandow. How are you today, Aaron?
Doing well, Blake. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, good to have you back. We're going to keep rolling with the CrowdStrike theme. We have Falcon coming up in a couple weeks and sending a couple Tynos out there to man the booth and meet with some customers, which we're really excited about. And I keep saying it. I'll continue the theme. CrowdStrike is an awesome tech partner of ours. Obviously, very popular tool within the cybersecurity world and an investor in Tynes. So we have a number of popular stories that have been built out, and Aaron is going to continue to highlight one today that will help save analysts time, enriching CrowdStrike detections and layering in some of the new Tynes cases features that we announced earlier this year. So a lot of exciting stuff in here. And without further ado, I'll turn it over to Aaron.
Awesome. Thanks, Blake. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. First thing that I want to point out ahead of the Falcon conference coming up is that if you navigate to our story library, which is pretty simple to get to, tynes.com/story library or tynes.com/library now, you could simply go to all stories and you could search CrowdStrike in here. And we have several, many different stories involving CrowdStrike. A large majority of our customer base uses the tool. So this is something that at times we have a lot of knowledge around and expertise around. One story in particular, I'm going to be looking at something very similar in our demo today, is this analyze CrowdStrike detections that ultimately takes in CrowdStrike alerts automatically, captures details of those alerts, enriches them with VirusTotal, and then opens up a case in a case management tool, in this case Jira, and finally sends out a message via Slack. So I'm going to be looking at something very similar. This story, along with several other CrowdStrike stories, is available via our story library for you to simply import into your tenant, map in your credentials, and get going. All right. So the story I'm going to look at is, again, pretty similar to that. The first step in the story is reaching out to CrowdStrike to receive the latest detections from CrowdStrike. These HTTP requests can be set on a schedule so that this just runs automatically in the background. It could be as specific as as running like once a minute, for example, once every 5 minutes, or you could even put like a cron expression in there to get super detailed. Ultimately, this will give us back a bunch of IDs. We'll use those IDs to fetch the details of those IDs. And then for each of the detections that we receive back, we're going to capture a record of those detections within Tynes. Records are a great way to store artifacts of data, evidence over a long period of time for you to be able to go back, search historically, and view trends, etc. We'll take the IP address that comes back as part of the detection, and we'll analyze it in a sub-story using several different enrichment tools. In my case, for the demo, I'm going to be analyzing the IP across grain noise, Tor nodes, Talos, VirusTotal, API void, and abuse IPDB. You can use whichever tools make sense to you. And of course, all of this is going to be automated. No need for the analyst to hop into all of these tools and perform a bunch of manual work. Once we get the IP address back, we're going to store the evidence, store the artifacts, the data, create a new record for that IP address enrichment, and link it back to our detection record as the parent up over here. For each of the behaviors, again, we're going to look at each behaviors individually, capture records for those behaviors, and then I'm going to check to see if we've opened up any cases for this particular behavior up to this point. The case management system I'm going to be demoing today is the native case management to Tynes. You can use that. It's very simple to use. You can also leverage any other case management system of your likings, as long as it has an accessible API. If a case does not exist, we'll open a new case. If it does exist, then and it hasn't been created in the last 3 days, we'll also open up a new case. But if there is a case that exists and it was recently opened within the last 3 days, we'll just go ahead and update the case that we already have. All right, so I am going to go ahead run this, and everything we just mentioned is executing as I'm talking here. So we analyzed our IP, we created our records, and then we opened up a new case within Tines. So if I go back to Tines here, I should have a new case that was open just now. And if I go ahead and open this up, you will notice this is the case that I've received. So I have the description of my case over here. Currently, I have not met my SLAs yet, as I haven't claimed the case for my time to detection. I haven't done anything to respond to this case yet. So this box is still just pretty generic. I have a link back to my run book. And then as an end user, given that this is a CrowdStrike case as a security analyst, I have a nice checkbox, like list of checkboxes here that will kind of guide me through different actions that I should take as an analyst investigating and responding to this case. This description was just built with very simple markdown. So you'll notice where I created the new case over here. This is all it took to create those checkboxes, just the specific syntax, very easy to read, very easy to write. This can all be created in a template and be reused for centrally managed as well. Going back to my case on the bottom, I have all of my records already attached to this case. So I'm able to see exactly when each of these records got populated, what the host name was that was impacted as detected by CrowdStrike, the operating system, the device name, all of this information that was collected in my automation is automatically attached to this case over here. I can also drill in further. So if I want to see the enrichment specific to the IP address that kicked off this CrowdStrike detection, I'm able to see that over here, as long as all of the enrichment from each of the enrichment providers that we use. There's other ways to view this as well. So I could kind of pop this out and see it in this table too. Additionally, I'm able to view the records of my CrowdStrike behaviors. So and links to those behaviors as they exist within your CrowdStrike tenant. So I'm able to see like the process, the file name, the scenario, the IOC, etc., that kicked off this CrowdStrike detection from a behavior perspective. We have a timeline on the right-hand side here that just indicates all of the moving aspects of this case, who checked what boxes. For example, if I check this off, it'll get automatically added to the end of my timeline here. I could write notes such as Blake is, and I put in bold, working on this. Good luck. And that will populate into here for me as well. All right. So if I go to respond to this case, I'm going to claim it. So I'm going to go ahead and run it. And once I run it, if I refresh my browser over here, you will notice that I did hit my SLA. It took me just over 3 minutes to respond to this. Or to claim the case, I should say. And after claiming it, I was automatically assigned to the case as well up on the top. I'm also going to go ahead and investigate the case. So I'm going to run to investigate it. And once I do that, that's going to kick off my time to response this time, as the claiming was the time to detect, but I missed my SLA for the time to response. In reality, this had a 4-hour SLA, but I took that out of my automation just for purposes of demos. So I need to give a reason for why I missed my time to response. So when I click on this, I'll be redirected to a new page here where I could give my reasons, such as demoing slowed me down. And when I go to submit that, my reason will pop back up into my case. When I refresh, I'll have that reason right there. Next up, maybe I want to add some MITRE tactics to this based on what I've learned within my records and within my enrichment. So if I go ahead and open this up, I can add a MITRE tactic, and maybe this was credential access, for example. So when I go and submit it, that information is going to get added to the metadata of my case over here where it says credential access, along with my average time to detect, average time to respond. Finally, I could go ahead and say this was a true, false, positive, and then finally go ahead and close the case out. And there's a couple ways to close the case out. You could do it from the actions menu over here. You can also just mark it as done over here. But either way, if I go back into my case and look at my metadata, you'll notice the case disposition clearly shows true positive. So all of the handling of this case was done via a timed story. So it's super customizable. Every time I manipulated an object within the case, I was able to capture it within my webhook over here. So I could see the last thing we did was actually close out the case. Every time a checkbox was selected, I'd be able to view that checkbox from within my event view over here and take appropriate action on it. When we went ahead and we chose the and we specified the SLA missed reason, we opened up a times page, and then we updated the case from that times page accordingly. Very similarly for the MITRE tactic that I selected, we did from this box over here. And then all along, anything that happened within this case as we responded to this CrowdStrike event was automatically sent via a Slack notification to a Slack cases channel for my team to stay up to date and have a good visual of everything that occurred within that case. The last thing I want to point out here is just some more visualizations around our records. So if I go into my records, for example, and I look at like my case time to respond records as an example, you'll notice I've collected all of that data over here. This is filtered onto today, but you can filter it back further if you'd like. And then I have a nice little graph of my total time that's also customizable to, in this case, respond to the CrowdStrike event. And we've collected records for a lot of the different artifacts and data that we've collected along the way. So
Awesome.
Back to you, Blake.
Thank you. Yeah, that was great. So I think that's a cool combo of, I think, pretty much our #1 popularly used CrowdStrike story, analyze the detections, and then combo that with something brand new, the times cases, maybe not brand new at this point, but on the spectrum, pretty new. And so way to tie it all together. I thought that was great. Also, thanks for writing good luck when you assigned it over to me, because if I'm assigned on that, something's gone terribly wrong in the process. It might take a little bit for me to figure out how to solve it. So I'm glad you just knocked it out right away. Cool. Well, thank you, Aaron. Appreciate it. And another one in the books. We'll see you next week.